Boom. We are live. Welcome, everybody. Episode 3, Women Talk Film. Hi, I'm Mel, and this is
Sophie. And that's
Emma.
I'll get it right one day.
Yeah. And Mel, are we putting our names, or is that not possible?
Oh, hang on.
I don't know.
Let's do like Mel, and this is.
Oh, you can see my T-shirt now. I like it.
Oh yeah, nice. And then
I've gone very holistic today.
Further along, you can see it's Emma, and then as soon as I tell you what we're talking about, all our names disappear.
Oh well.
But more importantly, we're talking about Netflix #1 film at the moment, which is The Old.
In the UK, yeah.
Probably lots of people will have seen it, so join us in the chat. Let us know what you think, what you liked, what you didn't like, because that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. So actually, let's just introduce quickly. This is the movie we're talking about, in case you did not know what it is, starring the amazing Charlize Theron. And it is about, let's see what it says.
An ancient warriors living in the shadows, fighting
for what's right.
That immortality can grow old, and nothing lasts forever.
Dun dun dun.
It's like, fuck's sake, guys. I'm just gonna.
Do I have to be here?
That's the official. That's the official synopsis.
That's the official line. Yeah.
So it's obviously been reviewed really well. Audiences seem to like it, which is why in the UK at least it's not
an 81. Yeah, 81 on the tomatometer and Rotten Tomatoes.
Just want to say, when I checked earlier, it was actually 80%. It was 80 on Rotten Tomatoes. It was a 70 on Metacritic. Everything else doesn't matter. Actually, those don't matter.
The only dodgy review I saw was the Times, but the guy is a bit of a melt. So.
Oh, which one was it?
Andrew Marr, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I've seen him trash films before.
He does not matter because we're all here to share.
We're women to talk film.
Yeah. Our opinion matters. And I'm going to pass this over to Sophie. What do you think? Like, first impressions, overall sense and impression of The Old Guard?
Well, the whole immortal concept now is ruined for me for anything else, because this did it. It took it, made it better, put it into this modern idea, and it just fit so well. And they had so many elements that worked brilliantly together. And, Charlize Theron has done a lot of action in her time. She did Atomic Blonde, she did Mad Max. Yeah, exactly. Atomic Blonde didn't hit for me. Mad Max was obviously great, but that was more, Tom Hardy was the main guy in that. Whereas this really is Charlize Theron, in her main character point. She's playing this ancient warrior who's, beautiful and is badass as hell. And I just loved her characterization, especially, but I just thought the film overall was spectacular. It was it was Netflix Originals, is one of the best they've had.
Emma, what do you think?
Well, I was gonna say, you say like Charlize was the main character, but I felt like it was very half and half. I feel like the first bit of the film is very Charlize, but I feel like this maybe like 2/3 of the film, like the last 2/3 of the film, is very much the actress that I don't know her name. What's her name?
Kiki Lane.
Yeah, Kiki Lane. Yeah.
Yeah, she got her start on If Beale Street Could Talk, which is what Regina King won the Golden Globe for, and she was brilliant in that. Yeah,
so I felt like she very much took over the film, halfway through until the end, pretty much, and I felt like it very much turned into her story instead of Charlize's. So I mean, it
was a good segue.
Yeah, but what did you, Emma? What was your overall impression of the film before we go?
I loved it.
I loved it. Oh my god! I don't think I've ever seen Emma have a reaction to a film like that.
But does Sophie, does this mean you're not really gonna care for the warrior nun? Because that shit's immortality, and that shit's.
Is it? Well, I don't know. I haven't really seen the preview for it or anything, so I don't know. I mean, maybe, but I know, just this film did it so well that it's going to be hard for me to get. It's going to be hard to top it for me.
No, that's fine. Yeah, no, I love this film so much. Like, I can't think of anything wrong with it. I mean, as an editor's point of view, I think the only thing is maybe just the fight scenes could have been cut quicker. Like, you saw the choreography a bit too much.
I mean, like, I thought the choreography was fabulous. It was just the editing.
I agree.
That's the point. It's like you saw the choreography. You know what I mean? Like, in action films, it's so quick that you don't even see the man moving. You know, it's like whatever. Whereas this was a bit too slow. So, but other than that, it's fucking amazing. I love the. It's almost like this film made up for the gays dying all the time. Because
Bury your gays. They made them immortal.
Bury your gay trope. Yes.
Yeah. So many times spoilers. There were so many times.
No spoilers. We're gonna do spoilers a bit later if we can.
Oh fuck.
Let's try and keep it spoiler free for now.
Okay. Well, there you go. That's all.
Why? Sorry, Emma. That's why I was asking for general impressions first before we dig a bit deeper into stuff.
Okay.
I mean, the bury your gay trope will, which is not applicable here. That's potentially a spoiler, but don't you worry about that. That might be something that for a lot of people is important to know before they actually go and watch the film. And I love that you both really loved this film so much. Like, I could tell, just like.
Well, yeah. What did you think of it?
I'm kind of in the same boat as well. It's like I really enjoyed this film a lot. It's just on an entertainment level, it's just pretty much perfect. Even though there are a few things where you're like, dude, you might want to think about this a bit more or think about this one a bit more, but it's not as important. I had fun with it from start to end. It's chock full of little details, little scenes that are really memorable and kind of like stick out to me. And there were so many that I hardly remember half of them. I love the characters, even though you don't really get to know them that much, but I felt like you got to know them as much as you needed to in order to care.
Something tells me we'll have a couple more movies to get that characterization, though. So,
it was like what Emma was saying about the fight choreography, for example. Like, I get what you're talking about in regards to the editing, but the reason why I love this approach to showcasing fight scenes is that you can actually tell that the actors are doing all that shit, right? It's not tricked. This is actually rehearsed, and they're doing it all. Which is why there are no fast cuts, because fast cuts are usually used when the actors don't know what the fuck they're doing and they need to
be they're having a stunt double.
Amazing. Yeah. Which is why a lot of people are usually saying the exact opposite of what Emma just said, which is like, oh, I wish they didn't do the fast cuts and would just let the choreography play out. Because if someone can actually do it properly, it looks so fucking amazing. And for me, the standout was the scene in the airplane. And I thought it was fantastic. Overall, my first impression is it was fantastic. I loved the characters. I loved the film. I was entertained from A to Z.
Yeah. Emma?
I was going to say, this is like a film. I haven't seen a film that had, this is about the music. I've not seen a film in a long time that had actual songs. Is it just me?
Yeah. There was a lot of actual, like the soundtrack was a lot of, big artists. You're talking... Marshmallow, you're talking, I mean, they put Frank Ocean in there. I loved that. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
it kind of elevates the story of it, because it almost turns it into this like magical kind of thing instead of just like, oh, it's a fight now, so we're gonna have action music. It was like really good.
It made the whole film quite stylish, and that's also one of the things that kind of stood out to me. And why one of the things I was thinking of was Atomic Blonde, which I thought was also very stylish, especially in regards to music as well.
Well, they were using New Order, all that sort of 80s stuff. It was brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they were sort of doing the same thing here, and I thought that was really well done. And I loved like the different like color grading depending on where they were, because they were changing locations obviously quite a lot. They were kind of like globetrotters and stuff. And the way that was shaped, I actually quite enjoyed. So I
had an issue with that. And this is pointed out. It was, I mean, yes, okay, I'm a gay. I'm on Tumblr. Deal with it. I don't exactly post anymore, but I still have a dashboard. And there's this post.
Is there only gay people on Tumblr? Is that what they all are?
mean, most of the straight people migrated to like Instagram ages
Oh,
ago,
really?
so,
I'm on the wrong platform. Okay, as you were, keep going.
no, but there's this post which sort of it highlighted the sort of stereotypical color grading you generally see in movies when you're in places like London, Paris, Brazil, the Middle East, China, all these different things, and it just felt like it was just doing that stereotypical color grading again, and it was just a bit like, okay, I mean, that's probably not like super necessary. Like, okay, we get it. It's dusty in the Middle East. Like, we need to make it more sandy there. Like, no, we don't need to do that. It's fine. But that was my sort of little issue with that. But anyway, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. It's like, oh, do you think the audience is dumb? But then sometimes the audience is a bit dumb, or maybe not dumb, but they can use some help to understand what's going on. And I have to admit that even though they used what they also use, like the title cards, Morocco, Paris, London, whatever, right? Afghanistan.
There's got to be a mood in there as well.
Yeah. And I didn't even mind the title cards. I think the way that they put them into the film, it didn't really go like, boom, this is where you are now. But I like that the color grading also helped. I almost felt like I didn't even need to know, like I didn't need the title cards to tell me exactly where we were. And I usually get confused by these kinds of things really quickly because I don't always pay 100% attention to stuff that I watch. And I'm like, wait, did they just, where the fuck are they now? And in this film, I didn't have this problem. And one of the things that I've actually noticed at the start, so now obviously we're going away from our overall impressions, we're digging deep, but we're still trying to stay away from spoilers. The start when, I can't even remember where they were. What was it? The opening scene, when it basically starts with...
They're in Morocco, I think.
Charlize is on the floor. She's lying...
In Marrakesh.
In Marrakesh, that's the one. They're in Marrakesh. Not that
Those girls are the worst.
But so we see Charlize. She's clearly dead. She's lying on the floor. Her eyes are open. There's blood everywhere, and it looks like she's
Sudan. They're in South
That's Sudan, yeah. But the
that's Sudan.
Like
Thank
moving
you.
scene is in.
And then
Morocco.
there's some voiceover happening, and then we cut to the title of the film, and then to what must have been clearly earlier, because all of a sudden she's walking through the streets of what turns out to be Marrakesh. And what they don't do is what lots of films usually do, is 4 days earlier or 24 hours earlier or some shit like that, right? And they didn't do that. And I kind of applauded them for that because I find these title cards really fucking annoying.
Yeah.
I know it's before because she's alive and walking down the street. I get it. You know, and I love that they didn't do that. They were like, of course, you know what we're doing here. And it doesn't take too long for them to kind of come back to the opening scene, how we got there, basically. And then it actually starts. And I liked how they started the film that way, where it's like, you really have my attention. What did you think of that?
I mean, it was, I did love that bit because it was a bit like in those, you know, those early 2000s American teen shows. Hi, my name's Casey. You might be wondering how I got into this situation. Well, let me tell you. You know, it was like that, and I quite enjoyed that. I mean, for me, you know, this is the point where I got to get nitpicky to find bits that kind of annoyed me because this film was so good. But there were a couple of things that just sort of niggled in my brain. One of them was the font of the title cards. I couldn't stand it. I was just like, they could have used what they used for the actual title, just had a sweeping fade in or something, and that could have been it. But they went, the only time you really need in your face title cards is when it's Killing Eve, and it literally makes you jump out of your skin when they tell you where they're going. They're just like, boom!
Yeah.
That on Killing Eve, it literally, there have been times where it's actually woken me up or something, because I've just been like, duh! Okay, that's where we are. Good to know. Thank you. But yeah, so that was like my only thing. But it was, I think we've talked about this before, I mean, off broadcast, Mel, but the idea of in media res, which is of course the idea of you're being dropped in the middle of the story, and then you go back to the beginning and you move your way back in to that specific point in time. And I thought that was really good.
Of which I am a huge fan.
There you go. Mel likes her in media rage. In Mel Ea rage. There we go.
Let's make it a thing, people.
So yeah, that was for me. I quite liked the pace of it in the beginning. I thought it was good. I thought it was steady, but it wasn't dragging me along like I was somebody tied to the back of a horse. It was a bit more pleasant than that, which was nice.
You have some very interesting experiences. We should talk about this later.
You don't want to know.
Mm.
Emma.
Yes.
I'm getting the hang of this pointing thing.
did-
What is
yeah.
sort of that
What did you
the
think?
opening of the film?
What?
The opening of
Emma.
the film.
Yes, what about the opening?
Well, what did you think? The stuff we've just been talking about. Well, did you have any particular thoughts to that? If it didn't get you negative or positive, then we'll move on to the next thing.
No, I thought it was great. The only thing, again, editing wise, is can I do spoilers yet?
Can
It's
we?
not really.
God, Mom, let us do spoilers.
Why?
It's not really a spoiler. It's literally the first 2 minutes. I mean, no.
Yeah, I mean,
No, that's cool.
Okay. I just didn't like the scene when Charlize is walking, and then we see a motorcycle, and then she's walking, and then we see a motorcycle, and then she's walking, because I feel like they were trying to make it seem like she was being followed by someone bad, but it didn't work because, again, the speed was off, like the pacing was off. Like she was walking, she turns around the corner, then we see a bike turning around the corner, but like nothing felt menacing about it, but it was really strange the way they did it. To me, if she was walking and she got to where she needed to be, and then a bike came and like stopped, then I'd be like, oh fuck. But every time we saw it, I felt like it didn't do anything. But other than that, I thought it was great.
In word, producers hire her.
and that. Yeah. I get sort of what you mean, but I felt like they were trying to build up tension when there actually was no reason for tension.
No.
Yeah, it was a bit weird because I was like, on the one hand, I think her and the motorcycle are sort of in the same area, but I also think they're not really that close to each other. So
yeah, I think it catches the audience off guard, but I think that's okay because it just gives you something that isn't super predictable to start off with, and I think that's it's a small mercy there. I think,
and also
we have a good thing to start with that isn't the same goddamn thing every single fucking time.
Exactly.
You know?
And we're obviously being a tiny bit nitpicky here because we all really like the film. So this is not something that is really like it stands out or people will go like, oh God, I really wish they would have changed that. It's just like a tiny thing that you kind of...
The font's wrong on the title cards. This whole movie needs to go in the trash right now.
The font is wrong. That's just not good. But no, I really like the opening, and it also kind of sets the tone really well because on the one hand, something really horrendous has sort of just happened, like our title hero, so to speak, is dead on the floor, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? But then it also is kind of funny, like just a few seconds later after the guy on the motorcycle and her meet, when she's watching the news and there's some crisis again in Sudan, and it turns around to like a group of women that are trying to take a selfie and are really shit at it. And she can just tell that they've just taken a photo of her, and obviously she's trying to be incognito or something, right? So that's the only thing that she can do. She's like, oh, I'm just going to offer to take like a proper photo of them. No one's going to say no to that. And when she gets the phone, she immediately deletes the photo that if clearly just taken of her, and takes a photo and is being nice and stuff. But she's just trying to be basically stealthy. She doesn't want anyone to take a photo of her, right? And I thought, it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But on the one hand, I was like, the juxtaposition of the atrocities that are happening in Sudan, while we see a group of women that are just enjoying their holiday or whatever it is, while also showing us the kind of person that Andy is, who's the character played by Charlize Theron. But the funny thing here is, and that's not really a spoiler, later on we find out that there exist photos of these guys throughout history, and you're like, and now all of a sudden you are having problems with selfies. When
I'm not sure they know, though, to be fair.
No, see, that's what I thought at first, but at least the photo that they took when they were in the Civil War in America, that is posed. That is clearly posed. So
of course. How else would it be?
Exactly, right? So
She has to stand there for like half an hour to develop a photo during the Civil War. So yeah, you can't really get away from that.
So
exactly. But this is just the nitpicky shit.
We're going to be so nitpicky here because there's not really much to fault the movie for, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, can we spoil yet? Because I've got one thing that I need to say.
Before we go into spoilers, let's talk about Niall, who is the newest addition to the Immortality team, so to speak. So the old guard team consists out of Andy, who's played by Charlize Theron, and then we've got a guy called Booker, who's played by Matthias Schoenaerts. I didn't even know that he was in this film at first.
Love a Belgian. Good times, yeah.
And then we have some LGBTQ representation with a gay couple, and that is...
I would die for Joe and Nikki. Sorry, that's what I needed to say.
There you go. And it's Joe and Nikki, which is really adorable. And when you find out a bit more about their history, I find it even more romantic and stupid.
Oh my God, it's ridiculous. Only a gay couple could do that, though.
Exactly, honestly. Right? So those are basically our four heroes that are making up the old guard, and they're trying to do some good in the world. That's kind of what they're trying to do.
They're never actually called the old guard, which I found quite interesting. I thought they might go down that route, but clearly they like the idea of just being mercenaries. They just do the thing and then they get on with their lives and they meet up again when they need to do another thing. Exactly. But I found that interesting.
Yeah. So we have these four established, and then all of a sudden, boom, we have a new one, and that is Niall, played by Kiki. Oh, what's her name?
Kiki Lane.
Kiki Lane from If Beale Street Could Talk. She's amazing. She's a Marine in the US.
Very talented actress, actually.
And she basically joins them after a few hiccups and stuff like that. What did you think of the idea of having like these four people being this established team and then having this newcomer coming in? What did you think of the dynamic and all of that?
I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was a little bit sort of, it took Niall a little bit too long to be like, okay, fine. But at the same time, I think what they could have done a bit more is explore the fact that she was losing her family. Because, of course, Andy did that so very long ago that, she wasn't going to be able to relate. And, I think that's why she and Booker related better, because Booker was from a more recent time and had lost his family more recently. So that made it easier on that part. But yeah, I thought it was a good addition. The dreams segment, seeing it in a dream, I think it's quite good, but it's sort of not a plot hole, but it's a plot loophole almost, because they probably could have done something maybe a bit more interesting with that, but I still enjoyed it. Joe's a fabulous artist, clearly, because that sketch was ridiculously realistic, but
Emma.
Yeah, Emma.
But isn't this film based on a comic?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, right, yeah. No, because just the way you say they could have found it another way, I'm like, if they're trying to be true to the comic.
I don't know, actually. I don't know how true to the comic they're being with this movie, to be honest. I haven't read the views in depth, but...
I'm going to ask, what do you think they could have done then? Because I thought it was really good. It means that she's got this newer power. Like, she's not just invincible, but she can also see other,
I mean, to be fair, no, that was that they all had that idea of vision.
That was
just that they had, that wasn't they all saw each other.
No, okay. No, but they never saw this.
Okay, no, just before we go into that, which might potentially be a spoiler, Emma, just let me know what you thought of the addition of Niall and her character and everything. Because she's kind of like the second lead, sort of, after Andy, played by Charlize.
Yeah, it was really good. I think the thing for me is maybe they could have. I feel like they accepted her kind of too quickly, or like not so much accepted her quickly, but they had the fight. Yeah. They had the fight on the plane, but I mean, everything else was just a bit quick. It was like what's her name? Niall.
Niall, yes.
It's kind of like Niall felt a bit. She felt at home a bit quick. Not at home, but like she didn't look very like out of place. For somebody who's just met these people, just joined, just whatever. But it was fine. Like it didn't seem weird. But if you think about it, it was like, oh, she didn't actually seem that bothered that somebody shot her in the back of the whatever, or all of that. But yeah, that was just
I thought it was.
I mean, I think there's a give and take there, isn't there? Of course, because I'm saying that it took almost too long for her to get sort of get through the whole anger thing with especially with Andy Moore is what I was referring to there. But what was interesting is how everybody else was just like, oh, okay, cool, we've got this new person, that's it. You'd think that especially someone like Booker, who is technically he's the newbie.
Yeah.
So how does he feel about this? Is he just accepting it, or is he wanting to make sure they know a bit more about it? Because it's been almost it's been over 200 years since they found somebody else. So yeah.
But for me,
I'm sorry.
Go for it.
I was going to say, I think he felt fine with it because of what happened at the end of the film, what he was trying to do. I think for him, that was his one mission, and it didn't matter who was coming and going. He just wanted to get to that. He
was laser focused, Mel.
Yeah, and I also was under the impression, first of all, we cannot forget 200 years is still 200 years. In regards to him being the newbie, it's probably like, I'm finally not the newbie anymore. All right. But the main thing for me was they all just so looked up to Andy. She was clearly the boss. There was no dispute about this whatsoever. And obviously later on, we sort of find out why that is. But I felt that they inherently trusted her judgment. Whatever she says goes. They can voice their opinions and stuff, but they always respect whatever decision she makes. They just trust that implicitly. So when she says Niall is coming aboard, it doesn't really matter how you feel about that.
It's just happening.
This is what mom says, so to speak. But they also trust her judgment. They would not really be worried about her bringing someone in that would potentially be a problem for them. I really liked the character of Niall. Just even when she was introduced, I knew there was going to be another character, obviously, who was going to join the team, but I didn't exactly know who it was. I wanted to know as little as possible before I start watching the film. So when we go to Afghanistan and her military unit, and we get to see her and how all the stuff that happens there, which is also quite tragic, it's just really, I was immediately on board. I was really interested. I thought she was an interesting character and stuff. And she had enough of the whole shock and awe, and I'm not believing what the fuck is going on here, while also being pragmatic enough to pretty much almost immediately adjust, because she had no other choice. What else are you going to do, right? Everything happened so fast paced because she had she was just out of control. She had all over it.
I think that sort of sorry, I've got a paper, I've got a safety pin in my hand. I don't know why.
Always safe.
I think that sort of bounces off her as a character as a US Marine, because of course people who are in the armed forces are generally very disciplined people who will try and roll with the punches as best they can, because that's what they've been trained to do.
Exactly. That's my point.
I think that's where that comes from.
Yeah.
It's the way that when she's on the plane, you see her fold her clothes meticulously. It doesn't matter that she's on a plane in the middle of the Middle East with a Russian pilot who she's never met before in her life. She got fold her clothes because that's what Mama taught her.
Exactly. But that's my point. It's like, if it had been one of us, we'd have lost our shit and gone hysterical and fuck knows what else, right? But because she is a trained professional, I accepted it a lot more that she kind of accepted her new situation, because she's kind of trained to adapt to new situations. So overall, we kind of liked the characters, didn't we? It's not just the whole setting, but we liked the characters as well, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, this is what Emma's been waiting for. Let's dig into spoilers. This is your spoiler warning. We're going to spoil the shit out of this film. If you've not seen it, get the fuck out of here and come back later. Emma, over to you.
Rude to our viewers.
I'm German. I'm very rude. Apparently, honest people swear a lot, so get over it. Emma.
Fuck, I forgot now. No, I was going to talk about the gay couple.
Yes,
I saw that.
Long live the gays. Long live the gays.
Oh, I should have prepared a rainbow flag, guys. I forgot. Shame on me.
No, I was just like, I don't know, like they fucked us up the last time that they died, but they didn't die because it took them so long to fucking wake up. I was like, they did not kill the gays, you know. But then he got up, and I was like, oh, thank fuck for that. And then he went on about whatever.
Okay, I think just for our you know, if for our straight viewers among us who may not be familiar with what we are talking about, there is a trope in television, especially right now, and in film. It's sort of branched out
everywhere.
A bit.
Yeah,
it's been quite prevalent, especially mostly in American television. It's got to be said, where they seem to be killing off the gays, whether that be a gay man, gay woman, bisexual person, transgender people as well, where they will kill off the LGBT representation in their show or film purely for shock value or to the detriment of another character. And this has been happening. This happened a lot in 2016. The sort of kicker was the death of a character called Lexa in the show The 100. That's what sort of started the movement off. But yeah, so whenever a gay might die, we're not fans of it because it's just killing our representation.
Yeah, it's called the bury your gays trope.
Yeah, bury your gays.
It's a proper trope.
I didn't realize The 100 started it. I thought
pretty much. It didn't
start it. It's been going on for decades.
Yes,
it's been going on for decades.
I know
but
that.
It
brought it to the forefront. That's my point.
She's telling the audience.
Yeah, it's like thank you. Thank you. Emma gets it. Thank you. So,
sorry.
What?
Yeah, in 20.
I don't get it.
No, it's like you're always going like, this is what we're saying. It's like, can you just let me make my point? Thank you. But yeah, that's basically what it is. It's like this has been going on for a long time. But the huge thing is, as Sophie was saying, it came out in 2016 when Lexa 100 was killed off after a certain things were happening. It was the most inopportune way how you could kill a gay person. And the main thing why it's so famous and why it made such an impact that even straight mainstream media picked up on it is because all the gays took to social media and were like, we've had it. This is it. You're not doing this anymore. And that's why we have a lot of showrunners, especially in the States, that have kind of like written down some kind of outlines that they're subscribing to, that they're not going to go down these routes. That
there is now an unwritten pledge between showrunners that they won't do it. Especially one of the big ones there is Winona Earp's Emily Andress. She's been really on board with that. She literally put a bulletproof vest on a lesbian. I don't know how much more about it you can be.
And that was shortly after.
And that was after Lexa.
And that was so basically Lexa was killed on 100. She was shot by someone who's on her side, and then a few months later on Winona, we have.
Oh, it was an accident, wasn't it? Really?
It was an accident, but still, it happened. And then just a few months later, had the lesbian character on Winona getting shot, and everyone was losing their shit. And then cut, and we see that she actually was wearing a bulletproof vest because the showrunner on Winona knows how important this shit is. That's why representation is so important. But it's just nice to see that this kind of like this outcry 2016 had such a positive effect, especially on films and shows in North America, because everyone was all of a sudden aware of this stuff, and lots of people were not aware of it before. So out of shit usually comes something positive, which is quite nice. So long story short, this is the bury your gay trope that Emma was kind of referring to with the gay couple. I thought it was quite interesting that you were concerned about the gay couple potentially dying in this, because I actually never thought of that. I thought that they would be perfectly fine until the end. What about you, Sophie?
Wait, I didn't finish. Sorry, I just wanted to finish my thing because I was going to say the thing I liked about the film, but I also didn't like about it when it came to the gay characters, is that they had to use them to make a point, which kind of sucks because, like, I guess it's the comic if it's taken from the comic book. But it's just that, like, you know, the two characters that were taken to be experimented on were the couple, were the gay people, were whatever. And it was, to me, it was very uncomfortable to watch them be like, just lie there next to each other, completely in love, talking about memories that they've had, almost like they knew they were going to die. And that did kind of upset me. I mean, I'm like, you know, you kind of feel in the back of your head, yeah, they're going to be saved, but it's just that they had to put them in that situation.
I don't feel like that was, because I understand that can be like impactful, but at the same time, it didn't feel tokenized.
I agree.
Like, it felt like, you know, because you know, Booker needed to be the one that was still with Andy and still with Niall, and you know, Andy was quite central to the plot at the time. They were the two that it just made sense that they would be the ones to get taken.
Yeah, there were no other ones you could take, unfortunately.
They could have taken one. They didn't have to take both. You know
I know, but yeah, you know, this is the thing. Like, as much as I, you know, think the bro gays trope is horrible, and I think that we do need to treat our gay characters better in TV and film, it's also important that we don't just start, you know, putting them on a complete pedestal and thinking that every time they have to be the glorious survivors. Not that we need to kill them, but, you know, they have to go through hardship sometimes, because everybody does. And they didn't go through hardship because, and what I liked is they did not go through hardship because of their sexuality. They went through hardship because of reasons that other characters would also go through.
Yeah, no, I like that too, but it's still, to me, it was still very uncomfortable to watch them, and I felt really sad for them. But yeah, I would feel the same if it was like a man and a woman in love and all of that stuff. So I think, and this whole the gays thing, you know, I've spoken to people about this before. We all die. Gay people die. Straight people die. Like, and so, you know, it does happen, but it happens too much to us, while straight people just fucking are alive and well and fucking, what's the one? Killing Eve. That fucking guy never dies, like, ever. I actually, sorry, this is a whole fucking separate thing. But, you know what I mean? But yeah, anyways, yeah, that was it. But fuck me, I loved, can I just say that I loved the scene in the truck when they were captured, and then they kissed.
Your Markham is thus infantile.
They had this whole speech, and then they kissed, and obviously the security guards or whatever were like, what the fuck? And then they killed them all, and I fucking loved it so much. They killed all the, like, security people or whatever.
Oh, I'm sorry. You want to be a homophobe to me and my 1,000-year-old boyfriend? Fucking try it.
No, that was a really beautiful scene. When you were saying about when they were in the lab and they were being tortured or used for research, just like you were saying that it would have the same impact or the same effect if it was a heterosexual couple. I think the main point of it was that it was a couple, because that made it even more powerful to see not just a friend of yours that gets tortured, is in a lot of pain and all of that stuff while you're right next to them and can't help them. But this is actually the one person that you love, and you would basically burn the entire fucking planet to the ground in order to save them, and you can't do anything. And they're just like, you can almost touch them, but you can't touch them. It makes it so excruciatingly horrible. And that's why you found it really horrible, I assume, and I found it equally as horrible. But I thought that was the point of the scene, to make it that unpleasant, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it really drove it home because they were a couple. And while it made you extra uncomfortable that it was the gay couple, it sounds really weird, but I actually really liked that it was a gay couple that the audience is supposed to care so much about, that this scene makes them so highly uncomfortable because of what they have to go through. So, and as Sophie was saying as well, it's like they were the only ones that you could take, because obviously we know that Booker's a traitor. There was only 2 people left. In regards to Booker, actually, were you guys surprised when he turned out to be the traitor?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I literally...
I didn't expect anybody to be a traitor.
Yeah, I turned to Karen and I was like, fuck! It was so well done. Like, I never expected him to give her a blank gun, like no bullets in the gun. Like, there was no way that I could see that coming. So when obviously Niall saw the gun, I was like, what? You know?
Yeah, I didn't get that at all. I was really confused for like a good 10 minutes.
I literally went, what? It was so good. Did you?
Sorry, can I just go back to Joe and Nikki just for a minute, because I think what really sets these guys apart in terms of characterization is that you really, it's not just a gay couple's there. It's not just a couple that are together. This is, you feel the gravity, especially from that speech, you feel the gravity of their relationship. These guys didn't just meet in the Crusades, kill each other once or, you know, a few times and then get together. That would have been over hundreds of years that they did. That would have been a whole ass enemies to lovers trope that I would watch the shit out of a spin-off TV series. I am just saying.
I want the spin-off. When they were saying that we didn't just kill each other at the same time and then revived at the same time. We then went back to killing each other over and over again.
Yeah, many times, yeah.
It was like, and I was like, oh my, I was melting away when they were saying that. I was like, this is so fucking fucked up, but so fucking romantic. Can I just say how fucking romantic?
We were destined to find each other.
I was like, oh my God. And the scene that Emma mentioned earlier in the truck when they were kind of like talking about what the one person means to you, like the security guard says, is like, is that your boyfriend trying to make
the thing? It really brought the gravity home.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what is that your boyfriend? Are you one of those guys? And then he makes this beautiful speech about what this man means to him and how long they've known each other and all of that stuff. And when I was watching that, there's an interview on Variety with Charlize about the film. And one of the things that she was saying is like, we have this one scene between the two gay guys and they have this almost Shakespearean, one of them has this almost Shakespearean.
Yeah, I saw that.
And she was like, we weren't entirely sure whether we could pull this off or whether it would just be too theatrical and stupid and stuff. But they did it. And we were like, yeah, of course it's gonna work. Right?
I don't think even the beauty of it was, I don't even think the security guard was being homophobic. I think he was just being like, because I think if they'd been a man and a woman, he'd have been, oh, is that your girlfriend?
Yeah.
I think it would have been the same tone. He was just being an ass, which I quite liked, because it's the idea. It's a bit like, I know this is a really weird comparison, but it's a bit like Schitt's Creek. They just never felt the need to bring in homophobia into the story. That didn't feel like it needed to forward the plot. And I liked that. I don't think that's necessary.
I actually agree with you on that, because I thought it was more like bro culture, jock culture, you know, the locker room talk kind of stuff. It's not necessarily homophobia, but then obviously everyone can read into that what they want. But yeah, that was kind of my understanding of it as well. And I like the sort of shocked faces of the entire security squad that was in the car when they then start kissing. And the next time you see them is they open the truck again and all the security guards are knocked out or potentially dead. And the two gay guys,
I think they were dead.
You know, it's like, it was awesome. You know, I really enjoyed that. I liked those two guys. They were lovely together. They were also an interracial couple, which was fantastic. And yeah, so apparently long ass relationships work because they were together for what, like 1,000 years?
Yeah, 900, I think was the.
So I was like, wow. I
anyway,
like those two.
Back to Booker. Sorry, I went off a tangent there, which we love, but also we do want to talk about Booker. I didn't see that coming at all. Not a chance. No, because I literally Niall looking at the empty magazine and the gun, and then they do the flashback, and I'm like, am I supposed to get something from that? Clearly, I was too dumb to get what they meant because I genuinely didn't understand until Booker decided to shoot Andy. So, you know.
Really? That long?
Yeah, I genuinely didn't get it.
I love it.
No, the thing about him is that he wasn't even a bad guy. It's not even he was doing it for a bad reason. He was doing it for her. Yeah. For them. They had this conversation, and it's just like, that's what, I don't know. Like, I was so shocked when obviously, you know, he gave her like blank bullets or like no bullets or whatever. And I was like, no, he can't be a bad guy. And then when he turned out to be actually a really good guy, I was like, oh my God, this is like 2 million twists in like one.
He's a queen that's trying his best.
No, I really love that. It's like there was a scene about halfway through the film where I was sitting there and I was like, somehow I feel like that Booker is a fucker. I'm not trusting him. And then when basically when the two gay guys get abducted and he's just sitting there with his belly grenaded out, which was amazing.
Oh, that was disgusting.
I was like, I don't trust him. There's just something about it. I really didn't like him. So my cynicism just went like that. But then I had totally forgotten about this again by the time the stuff with the gun happened. So when Niall was looking at the gun and she's like, it's empty. I was like, empty, but it's oh, that fucker, I was right.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And I couldn't even really, I can't pinpoint exactly when it was that I thought there was something about him that I was like, I'm wondering if they're going to make him turn on them or something.
Okay.
It,
Super side point that is literally going to last 30 seconds.
Go.
Dudley Dursley is in this movie. What?
Wait, who was this?
Dudley from Harry Potter is the villain of this movie.
Oh my God, that's why he looks so familiar. I was like, who is this?
Right? I was just like, oh my God, it's Dudley.
You mean Mr. Locks?
Who's Dudley?
Yeah, Dudley. Dudley,
the farmer guy. The farmer guy with the crazy hair.
No, who's Dudley?
Yeah. Dudley's from Harry Potter, the son of the Dursleys.
I'm gonna have to fucking Google this because I don't know Harry Potter that well. Okay, what was it? Dudley? Harry?
The fat kid.
I don't fucking know who that is.
Wait, it's the spoiled child that is the actual biological son of the Dursleys, who Harry stays with during the summer for a bit.
That was him?
Yeah.
What
He lost a lot of weight.
Yeah. He dropped his pants and he grew out his hair a bit, but yeah, he genuinely that floored me.
Sophie, that was the best 30-second segue ever, because I was gonna ask you guys whether you knew why that guy looked so fucking familiar the entire time. Like he shows up early on in a scene, and I was like, I have no idea who that is, but he looks really fucking familiar. And the entire film, I was like, who the fuck is that? But I didn't look him up. So thank you.
I didn't like his character at all. I
thought that's the point. Bad karma.
No, I know, but I mean, he was a bad actor, in my opinion. Like,
I think there's a reason he hasn't done anything since Harry Potter.
Yeah, exactly. But like, it was so theatrical and so like stiff and just, I don't know. I think it was better with someone else, but
yeah. So for him, he was because he was kind of like the main villain, so to speak. And I found him really.
Oh, I loved having Chiwetel as like the
I liked him as Copley. But that also really wasn't a surprise that the entire thing was a trap, obviously. But the farmer guy was supposed to be like the big bad, and I was like, he's just so stereotypically villainy shit.
I found him ineffectual.
Yeah. I was like, I'm not scared of him. He's just, if he didn't have all the mercenaries, he would not be scary whatsoever all. And I was like, I just don't really care about him. And I'm someone who usually really likes villains in films, but he was just such a wet blanket. I really didn't care.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, because we don't, I think it's probably better we stick to under an hour. And I think this is going to take a good 12 minutes. I think we need to talk about that twist at the end and how it set up a goddamn saga. So
before we go to the twist at the end, are you talking about the epilogue?
Yes, I'm talking about the mid-credit scene.
Okay, so the thing that
because that actually said 6 months later. So
but it was kind of mid-credits. I don't know. I just
wanted to say because I don't like it when it says 6, but this one actually said 6 months later.
Yeah. That's why I mentioned earlier how proud I was of the film that they didn't do it at the beginning. And so at the end I was like, no, you've just but okay, fine. But before we go there, I just wanted to share that like the nightmare story of like you hear of people being
that scared the shit out of me.
Yeah,
sorry, a really big bug just tried to get in my window, and I genuinely thought it was inside for a minute, and my heart just jumped into my mouth. So just let me, you keep explaining, and I'll just recover from my heart attack.
So Sophie is just gonna have like some palpitations, so don't worry, she's fine. Just give us the signal, because we'll know what the signal is, right?
Yeah.
Give us the signal. But no, one of the things that I really liked about the film as well is like you hear about immortals and stuff, and they can't even be killed. Like they get shit loads, like riddled with bullets, and 2 minutes later they're standing up and doing the Wolverine thing of spitting out the bullets out of their brains. And then they tell this story, like you get a few background stories of the characters, which gives some really nice history. And the one that really freaked me the fuck out is the story of Quinn, which was an Asian lady who unfortunately doesn't get a lot of screen time. However, we'll come back to that. She's sort of like besties with Andy, who's Charlize Theron's character.
I feel like they're more than best friends, in my opinion. But
yeah, I was like, is there something going on? I thought there was, but maybe that's just me.
Subtext.
Okay, so if all three of us think that, it was clearly happening.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they were, of course, alive when like witch trials and shit was happening. And because they couldn't die, it was clear that they were witches. So they were doing all kinds of horrible shit to them, but they wouldn't die. So one of the things that they did was they took only the Asian lady, though, because they had to take them apart because they are monsters. They put her in a metal sarcophagus and put her in the ocean.
Yeah.
Where she then...
Yo, I literally tripped out. I couldn't deal with that. I tripped
out, yes. Where she basically, because the way it works is they die of whatever causes, takes them a few minutes, they come back, and then hopefully go on living. However, the lady was submerged by, I don't know, the entire fucking ocean. So she would come back to life after drowning, only to then drown again, dies. A few minutes later, she will come back to life, only to still be submerged in water. So she keeps drowning and drowning and drowning and drowning. And they were saying that was like 500 years ago that she was submerged.
Bro.
And I was trying to process this, and it freaked me the fuck out.
Like, I don't understand how they're going to make her alive again.
Yeah.
Unless, like, you know, nowadays they go on, like, scuba diving, whatever's, and they...
Okay, I have a fan theory, but
go fan theory.
I think because this metal rusts. So you knock it with one whale tail or a shark fin, bam.
Shark fin, yes.
She's out. And then she swims to the surface, maybe gets eaten by a shark once or twice on the way up, and then
Can I ask you a question? If they get blown up and their bodies are in different places, do they kind of morph back together?
Is this like Twilight?
Emma, I love that you're saying that. Literally one of the things after the entire film that I wrote down, I wanted to talk to you guys about. What happens when someone gets decapitated? Does the head grow a body? Does the body grow a head? At the same time? Is this like a way of cloning? What the fuck is happening?
I think my theory is that because the brain is the center, I think that the head grows the body.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. Because otherwise they would have cloned themselves 1,000 times over, right?
Yeah.
Cut my head off now. Okay, you do me, I do you. You do me, I do you. Yeah.
But yeah, so I like this idea that the metal, obviously, also because it's 500 years old, the metal is just not as good as the metal we have nowadays. So hopefully shit will happen to that. But what is one of the things that I had a hard time understanding, that I thought there might be a bit of an inconsistency happening here. That is when Niall, the new character, obviously is kind of like born into being an immortal because something happens to her. She basically dies and all of a sudden she comes back to life. Kind of like when you're a mutant and you're in a stressful situation, all of a sudden your powers come out, that kind of a thing. And all the other immortals, they can tell that this is happening because they're somehow connected somehow. So that they can, and all the four immortals saw different things. Like someone saw what she looked like, someone saw her surroundings, and all of that. It was quite interesting.
Saw her dog tag. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really cool. And Niall also saw them. And later on, we find out that she woke up from a nightmare because she kept seeing what Quinn was enduring, like being at the bottom of the ocean. Right? She was like, "I'm seeing a lady drowning."
This is what I was talking about earlier.
I think with that, I think because their reactions were quite muted to it. But I think that's because, you go back 100 years or so, they were probably having them, and it's at the point where it's so horrible that they've got used to them and they've just locked them away in a different part of their brain because it's just so horrible to even contend with. With Andy's probably the only one who's still living that nightmare every night, No.
The way that it was explained in the film was once they've met each other,
it stops.
Flashes stop. So I was like, okay, so all the flashes go away, except for the flashes, obviously, she has of Quinn, because she's never met her, because she's at the bottom of the ocean. But then the same is obviously true for Booker. And so he's had this nightmare for 200 years. But as you're saying, Sophie, obviously he got used to it or stuff. But I was just really surprised that he wouldn't say, it's like, yeah, don't worry, I see these things too, or something. But it's never, they don't even kind of like acknowledge the fact that Niall seems to be the only one who's seeing it, even though according to the established rules, as I understood them, Booker should also still be seeing these flashes from Quinn. And then I had obviously later on this idea when we find out that Andy obviously is becoming mortal again, because the entire film I was like, shit, they're gonna kill Charlize. And then when she becomes mortal again, I was like, yeah, they're gonna kill Charlize at the end. Because I figured someone new comes up, that means someone else has to die. That was kind of like my theory. That
it has to be, the gift gets taken away. Whether she dies or not is up to her. Yeah,
and so that's kind of what happened in the film. And so I was just wondering, maybe Quinn also died, and that's why Booker came around 200 years ago. But then obviously it makes no sense that Niall is seeing flashes of her. And then obviously I was quite happy when the stuff in the epilogue happened that you wanted to talk about, that this lady that is supposedly stuck at the bottom of the ocean for like 500 years is all of a sudden alive and well.
Drinking scotch in Booker's apartment.
And is saying hello. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I think maybe I missed something, or maybe it wasn't explained, but you could maybe tell me. Is how does Quinn know Booker?
Like I don't think Quinn does.
No.
But how does Booker know her? Because obviously he's
Andy.
Story, but he doesn't know.
So they don't really know each other.
Mm-hmm.
They've only seen each other because Quinn will have seen Booker.
But Booker actually saw Quinn? When
I don't think Booker was around when Quinn was alive.
I don't think.
No, but so that's my whole point, where I'm thinking it's becoming a bit inconsistent. So the rules that they've established is when someone new comes around, like Niall, all currently alive immortals see sort of what she looks like or get flashes of her. They know that there's someone new. All four of them had this reaction, right? Niall saw flashes of those guys. And once they meet, they did say, these flashes go away. It's like a way of us trying to find each other, no matter where we are on the globe. Because obviously Niall never met Quinn because she's at the bottom of the ocean. She keeps having those flashes. But then in retrospect as well, obviously Quinn, who's not going anywhere, she's stuck in that sarcophagus, she will have had flashes of, depending on how old she is, but she will have at least have had flashes of Booker and of Niall, because Booker and Niall came after her, because Quinn was alive way before Booker even was around, right?
Well, if they were, it was the fourth. She would have gone down in sort of the late 1400s.
Yeah, exactly.
So and so she'll have known Nikki and Joe.
Yes. So that's why I was thinking it's like they don't know each other, but they will have probably seen each other in these flashes, which is probably when she found him. So it wasn't as weird when she was showing up in the epilogue, but I was just wondering how he just got over this whole thing that he kept seeing her flashes and just doesn't talk to Niall about it, who is having these nightmares because she's seeing a drowning lady and it's like she's drowning herself.
I think they wanted them to bond on a different level, though. They bonded on the fact that they both lost their families rather than bonding, because they only had so much screen time to devote to that. So I think that was a better avenue for their bonding.
Yeah, that's the other thing. There's so much material in this. I mean, I've never read the graphic novel, but this material sounds really fucking fascinating.
I want to now.
Yeah, exactly. That I'm like, I love that you've made this movie and it's really good and I enjoy it and I will probably watch it again and I'm recommending the shit out of it. But I'm wondering if it might have been better to actually make a TV series out of it so you can delve a bit deeper into stuff. Do you want to know more? Yes, I want to know more. I want to know a lot more, which is why they're going to make... by the way, the one thing I forgot to mention at the start of this entire thing, it's also directed by a lady.
A black lady.
A black lady.
Her name is...
Edited by a black lady, too.
Her name is
amazing.
Gina Prince Bythewood.
And she was giving an interview where she's saying that they're potentially making a sequel.
Yeah.
Because if this as well, they're going to make a franchise out of it.
Yeah, the guy who's doing the graphic novel, he was saying, it's like, we basically are envisioning the films as a trilogy. And I'm like, yes, please, thank you.
Yes.
Trilogy, a spin-off TV series, a fucking radio show. I don't even
Bring
care. Just
it
give me
back.
all of it.
Just give it, exactly. So
also, I know what Mel is going to cosplay as for every convention that will ever happen in the future now, because clearly.
As what? Not as the pharma guy.
No.
Just
you
wanted
clearly go as Andy.
I do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your hair is exactly the same. Are you kidding me?
No, like her hair is a lot longer than mine, but I'll grow it out again. I'll make it.
Yeah, you do that.
It was that length when I met you, so that's
Oh yeah, that's very true. I cut it recently.
Yeah. You've got a perfect. You've got a perfect cosplay character there, so use that to your advantage.
I take that as a compliment, so thank you very much. Charlize was really good in this, anyway.
Yeah,
she's just fucking awesome.
This is some of her best work for a while, actually. Yeah.
So since we've now basically already talked about the epilogue, what did you want to say about the epilogue that we haven't covered yet? As in him showing up again with Booker.
Sophie, you said something would take 12 minutes and then you didn't.
Well, I mean, because I thought that might take 12 minutes, but I just thought that was a really good way to set up a franchise. But I mean, if it's sadly, I don't think it will be. I think this is something that will succeed and we'll get a franchise. But if it doesn't, it's not going to be. It will be devastating, but it's not going to be left behind like Ghostbusters has been, the new Ghostbusters, because I'm sad about that. Sad about that.
Dude, I liked the new Ghostbusters, but like the new Ghostbusters is here and Olgard is like.
Oh yeah, no, I know. I'm just projecting my sadness about the fact that we're not getting a second one, despite the fact they set us up. But
don't feel sad.
No, I think they just set up, whether it becomes a saga, a trilogy, or there's a TV series spin-off, I don't care. Whatever. It's set up so well.
Nice.
I wasn't expecting it.
If it's based on the comics, just read the comics and you should have your answer.
No, but I don't want to know.
I don't want to. I want Charlize to play Andy forever.
Yes. What she said.
Do you know how like Winona Earp, they changed the comics for the TV show? Like, she was blonde and then she became like brunette. Do you think I don't know, you guys maybe didn't look at the comics, I haven't looked at them. Do you know if Charlize was like based on the features of the comic book?
I would
think it was a bit.
I would assume so, because
a drastic change in her hair.
She colored and cut her hair for the role, and after went back to her blonde hair. So I think it's probably based on the comic, but I've never seen the comic, so I'm not entirely sure. But I'm wondering the length that she goes to look like the source material character. Like when I think of her film Ian Flux, that unfortunately didn't do very well, but she really looked like fucking Ian Flux. So I would assume that she probably went there. She's just the kind of person who would try to look as closely as the original envisioned character as possible.
Charlize Theron is a thoroughly underrated actress in Hollywood, in my opinion.
Yeah.
She's phenomenal. Like I can't remember like a film that I've seen. Okay, she's also in recent years done a few duds, but no matter what she plays, it's always an entertaining film, and you can clearly see that she has shitloads of fun with whatever character she's playing.
She puts her heart and soul into it and doesn't method act like Jared Leto, so who cares, perfect.
Are you trying to tell me you don't want me to send you a pig's head or something?
Yeah, I'm not David Cameron, so please don't do that.
Yeah, okay, let me just write that down somewhere. Yeah, what a weirdo.
All right.
Now, so let's say we are already this is our longest one, and I figured it would be because we all of us unanimously love the shit out of this film because it's fantastic. Yeah. Is there like last couple of things you want to say about it? Anything that we haven't mentioned? Maybe like a verdict thing or something that you want to say before we say goodbye? I
mean, let's do our verdict, shall we? I think it's probably
we haven't
wise
done
to do that.
Last time.
So 3, 2, 1. I think that was a given, wasn't it, really? But
so I guess we all kind of liked the film by the sounds of it.
Yeah, just about. But I think this was just, it was just a trope that's been done 100,000 bloody times, that was just well done newly. They put diversity in there without making it a shoehorn thing.
Yes.
And it just came together really well. So that's my verdict on it.
Yeah, I loved it. It was great. That's all I gotta say. Watch it.
I loved it. I loved it. It was great. I love that. Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. Like, this was actually better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And one of the things that really surprised me, but really shouldn't surprise me anymore, anything that Charlize Theron is really in, especially when she's like co-producing it, she has such gay vibes when she's playing certain characters, right? Like when we see the backstory with her character and that Quinn woman, I was like, are they a couple? Oh, they probably are a couple. You guys are thinking so as well, right? And
they're at the pharmacy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to say. Just a really tiny scene of like, I would want that role, please. There's a lady, I think we're still in Paris, it's a French in a pharmacy. And Charlize is a bit banged up, so she's looking for meds. And I was like, wow, this woman probably knows nothing about meds because she's never fucking needed them in about 6,000 years.
Yeah, I love that.
What do I buy? What do I buy? I'll just buy everything. Yeah. And then the store clerk, the really cute lady, she can tell that this woman really doesn't know what the fuck is going on. And without even really asking or saying anything, she's just like, do you need help?
Women supporting women.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And she's like,
fuck him. Sorry.
Yeah. So the whole point of it, she probably assumed that she was a victim of an assault, domestic abuse, whatever it is, right? And without saying anything other than going like, we have a storeroom, do you want some help? And this woman helps stitch her up. And Charlize is saying something along the lines of like, you're not even asking me. And she was like, it doesn't matter why. I'm just here to help you. And that was such a brilliant scene. First of all, just because of the content of women supporting women without fucking asking questions or being suspicious or thinking, what did you do? Or do you even deserve my help? It doesn't matter. You just fucking help. But on the other hand, I was like,
does anybody get a little bit of a gay vibe?
Is she stitching her up? And are they fuck? Like, I would not have been surprised if they would have been just fucked.
Yeah.
And she left the pharmacy then. I was like, oh, it's not going to happen. Oh, we didn't see it. But so much chemistry happening. And I was like, fucking hell.
I kind of get, this is a chat for a whole other day, but I kind of got a bit of an asexual vibe off Andy, personally. But that's it.
As in, like, she has sex with nobody?
Yeah. Like, romantically, maybe they connect, but I don't think, I just, as well, she was sexy as hell.
No, but there was this whole scene between her and Booker where shortly after Niall
that she was like, she banged August
like, you mean like knows him in a biblical sense kind of a thing, and she just gives him that smile, and I was she probably, like, I got the impression she was probably bisexual, pansexual, whatever.
She's been through
everybody.
That's a real little side note. I loved that a US Marine instantly recognized a piece by Auguste Rodin. I thought that was so that was such a nice little bit. That was so good. I love that.
She was going mental when she saw that. Is that a Rodin? Is that a Rodin?
Yeah.
I loved it. So,
but anyway, Emma.
Sorry, I just wanted to say I really like the trailer.
Trailer.
I love the trailer because it gave enough away, but not hardly anything. Like, I feel like it didn't give anything away, and it gave it away that obviously they were immortal and all that shit. But Niall, nothing about her backstory, no fucking clue who she is, who she was in the trailer. To me, she looked like a child in the trailer. She was a teenager, like, oh, this teenager has some powers, they're gonna help her out. No fucking clue. And so I love that so much that they didn't put everything that we needed to know in the trailer, and the fact that we got to find out about a character from the actual film, I think that was amazing itself.
It wasn't like the Batman versus Superman trailer, which literally gave everything but the last bit away.
Martha!
Oh God.
Martha!
Okay.
Let's bond over Martha. I didn't.
Shit movie.
I like that you're saying this, Emma, because I didn't watch the film, the trailer, because I have a hate relationship with trailers. Because, like you're saying, they usually give a lot away. That's if I have a reason to watch a film, and Charlie's being enough reason for me to watch anything she's in, I didn't need to watch the trailer.
Yeah.
Because most of the time you watch the trailer and you realize that you've seen almost the entire fucking movie. They give away a really big plot point and all of the stuff. Yeah. And I really prefer not knowing anything and watching it and just seeing what happens. Because otherwise you see certain things and you're like, oh yeah, of course he was going to betray them. Oh, of course that was going to happen. Oh, of course, blah, blah, blah. When being surprised, it hardly ever happens anymore. And it's so annoying.
Have you seen it now?
The trailer? No.
Well, when we finish this, if Sophie has to go, fair, but can I watch you watching the trailer?
You want to watch me?
Getting a bit creepy up in here today.
Yeah.
I want to see your reaction to the trailer. Just to see. Okay.
How about Emma? How about I'll do that for you? Promise.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Guys, awesome. There are sparks flying here. Please, I need to get out of the in between you. Oh my God!
All kinds of things happening. So overall, just fucking watch this movie. It's great.
Please watch it. That's a really important thing. Just watch it. If you feel like you want to watch it again, because the ratings are what is going to get this movie
especially
a sequel and another sequel and a franchise. So do that.
Especially in the first 2 weeks, apparently, for Netflix.
Yeah.
The first 2 weeks are really important, which I
stream the shit out of it.
Stream the shit out of it.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So, what are we watching next week?
I will show you what we're watching next week. It's my turn, friends, and I'm going to do better than I did last week.
I'm concerned.
Shut up. You're really mean to me.
There are two titles like that now. Which one is it?
So,
is it comedy? Yeah.
This is Sugar Rush. This is a Nigerian comedy that I found on.
Oh, you're adding it. Perfect.
Scrolling through Netflix. So this is, it's called Sugar Rush. So after discovering a huge sum of money, a trio of sisters swipes it for personal use until the authorities and a shady mob boss come to collect the cash. So the premise is rather sort of, the normal premise that you do see often. The whole like, oh, they come into money, but it's not theirs. But I think especially for me, I don't have a lot of experience with comedies that haven't come out of the States or the UK, and I think this is a really good opportunity to watch something that hasn't come from the Hollywood.
What country of origin?
Nigerian comedy, in English and also in the native language. I can't remember what the native language is called.
Okay.
But I just think it would be a really interesting watch.
Yeah, it sounds good.
I think it'd be funny. Yeah. It's a bit long for Emma's taste. 2 hours.
Is it longer than The Old Guard?
It's 2 hours and 2 minutes.
Oh, The Old Guard was 2 minutes longer than that, Emma. You can do it.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's what we're watching next week.
Cool. So don't forget to follow us on Twitter. It's WomenTalkFilm, all one word, with the number 1 at the end. Don't ask questions. Just that's what it is. WomenTalkFilm with the number 1 at the end.
So WomenTalkFilm 1.
Exactly. We talk. We usually post on there the link to the video in case you've missed it. We will let you know what we're watching next week. We kind of include the
synopsis, the trailer.
Yeah, the link where you can find it. The stuff that we usually watch will be either on Netflix in the UK or on Amazon Prime here in the UK, because all three of us have access to it. It might also be a film potentially on BBC iPlayer. If you have any suggestions of films that you would like us to watch and talk about, the way we've just talked about The Old Guard, you can tweet us, like I said, at WomenTalkFilm with the number 1. And just let us know what you thought of The Old Guard and what you want us to watch. And we will see you again next Monday at 8:30 p.m.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to add?
No. Just come and join us.
And okay, so Sophie's gonna fuck off, and I'm gonna watch a trailer, and Emma's gonna watch me.
I didn't say I was gonna leave. Y'all
did
just
you
sort
not?
of thought I was. So that's
Sorry,
just
Emma
rude.
said you would, so I trusted Emma.
This is Sophie Erasure. Okay.
Oh.
Right.
It's like,
Bye,
yeah, we've had
guys.
enough.
Nice to see you
Bye.
all.
Have a nice week, everyone. And now we just got to find